I think we can just watch this only. It's better to see Alia Bhatt than me, I feel. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, sir. ले लो एक बार फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं. Thank you so much. Thank you ABP for getting me here. Thank you to SBI Life for hosting my session. It's really strange because my first bank account in my life was in SBI. First in IIT Delhi, we had to open one. It was compulsory to open an SBI, and then even in IIM Ahmedabad. So both those places I have accounts. There may be some 100-200 rupees left. Please sir, जरा देखना अभी तो काफी बढ़ गया होगा 15-20 साल हो गए. So if maybe I can get a check or something from there. So from there to come here to a session done by SBI Live, thank you so much, and always nice to come to Kolkata. Many do not know my in-laws are Tamilian, but they are actually now based in Kolkata. So I actually got married in Kolkata. So it's always nice to come back to the city where you got married and you meet all your in-laws and relatives. I'm going to talk to you. See, I'm not a full-time motivation speaker. I am a writer. I write, I do other things. So I do this out of my passion now. Pehle writing was my hobby, and that became my profession, and now this is my hobby. So when I give talks, मैं कोई ऐसे बाबा तो हूँ नहीं कि आपको कोई बहुत ज्ञान देकर जाऊंगा. अभी तक तो मैं नहीं बना हूँ, पर अगर बना तो बहुत अच्छा बनूंगा. आजकल मैं देख रहा हूँ काफी बाबाज अपनी आर्मी शार्मी लगाते हैं. मेरा तो नाम भी अच्छा है, भगत बाबा. अच्छा, वेरी गुड नेम इट विल बी. तो मैं आपको ज्ञान नहीं दूंगा. Everybody is comfortable with Hindi, right? And English. Okay, we'll do a mix. So, but what I can tell you is about my journey, how I look at my life, and I meet a lot of people of your age group, right from my batchmates to other organizations I go. जहाँ जहाँ जाता हूँ, 30s, 40s, 50s, I meet a lot of people like that. You know, what in India we call the settled people. सेटल हो गए आप सब. सेटल्ड हो ना लोग, हो कि नहीं? बिकॉज सेटलिंग इंडिया, ओनली इन इंडिया यू हैव दिस टर्म. इफ यू ओपन अ मैट्रिमोनियल, एवरीबडी वांट्स अ वेल सेटल्ड बॉय, राइट? और कहीं नहीं होता दुनिया में. बट व्हाट डज सेटल्ड मीन? कि महीने के महीने तनख्वाह आ जानी चाहिए, कैश फ्लो आ जाना चाहिए. सो दैट बेसिकली मीन्स नो रिस्क टेकिंग, नो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. एंड इन दैट कॉन्टेक्स्ट हाउ यू कैन लिव योर लाइफ इज 30s, 40s, 50s only about being settled? Is it about being more? And how I have lived my life. I'll also talk to you about how to win if you are not a genius. I am not a genius. And how many of you read a lot of books here? This is Calcutta, so there will be some people at least. So most people who are literary experts, if you listen to them, they will tell you that Chetan is not the best writer, right? He is the best selling writer. I am the best selling writer. मेरा बिक रहा है, पर जरूरी नहीं है मेरा सबसे अच्छा है. बट इट्स ओके, एटलीस्ट बिक तो रहा है. आपने बुलाया तो है, गुड मार्केटियर है या जो भी है, बुलाया तो आपने बुलाया तो मुझे ही ना सर, फिर अभी क्या करें? सो एंड दैट्स ओके, बिकॉज बेस्ट राइटर बनने के लिए तो आपको मतलब बहुत ही सुपर जीनियस होना पड़ेगा. सो जो बेस्ट लोग हैं, क्या उन्हीं को लाइफ में हक है सक्सेसफुल होने का? जो सुपर जीनियस है, जो 0.00 या नॉर्मल थोड़े से टैलेंट के साथ भी आप काफी कुछ कर सकते हो, दैट आई विल टेल यू अबाउट. आई विल आल्सो टॉक टू यू अबाउट, बिकॉज वट एवर बेस्ट सेलिंग इज देयर, आई डोंट थिंक यू हैव हर्ड ऑफ एनी अदर राइटर्स नेम मोर देन मी. इधर से या उधर से कहीं ना कहीं मैं आपके कान में घुस ही जाता हूँ. कभी टीवी पे देखोगे, कभी अखबार में देखोगे, कभी बुक देखोगे, कभी फिल्म देखोगे, कहीं ना कहीं से. सो हाउ इट्स ऑल हैपेंड, बिकॉज व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड राइटिंग, दैट्स व्हाट पीपल टोल्ड मी कि यहाँ राइटर्स को कोई नहीं पूछता है. यू हैव टू बी अ बॉलीवुड एक्टर और एक्ट्रेस और अ क्रिकेटर, तब कोई पूछेगा. सो हाउ इट हैज ऑल हैपेंड एंड हाउ आई हैव लिव्ड माय लाइफ विद मीडियम टैलेंट, आई वुड से, एंड आई थिंक देयर विल बी सम लेसन्स फॉर यू, and then I would have achieved my purpose. Otherwise there is no purpose. Just to come and give a very hi-fi lecture and go away will do nothing for me. I come and do this out of my passion, So I want to give something to you. Sessions तो आप सुबह से सुन रहे हैं, लेकिन कुछ something that stays with you at least for a couple of days, something that moves you in your heart. So I want change, and how I do this is by changing the game. This is my background. It's not a writer background at all. I worked in banks. I've attended many conferences like this actually on the other side, waiting कि कब conference खत्म हो और बार खुले. ये हो रही है, यहाँ तो अंधेरा भी जल्दी हो जाता है कैलकाटा में, so that way you should open it sooner. So and then Deutsche Bank, and house husband is not a bank. You know, that is a job I have always wanted to do. I have loved, मेरा बचपन से सपना था कि मैं house husband बनूं. And I think that is when a man is true leader of the house. कि आपकी बीवी जा रही है बाहर, आप घर पे हो, तो आपका राज तो तब हुआ ना. सीईओ का थोड़ा ना राज होता है, राज तो उसका है जो घर पे राज हो, right? So all of you who want to be CEOs, please think about it. House husband is better than CEO, trust me. And you know, you don't even have to go to office. So this is my goal today. It is very important to understand. Many writers write because they want to win Booker Prize, they want to win Nobel Prize, they want Gyanpith Award, they want Samman. And I am not judging. I mean, everybody is different. My goal is to change society. My writing I do is to make sure that India becomes little more modern, little more meritocratic, you know, little more entrepreneurial, little more business savvy. These are my dreams. I'm sure they are same as yours. There is nothing path breaking, but इतना करने के लिए भी बहुत मुश्किल है. इतना लोगों को बदलना आसान नहीं है. So I thought I will do it through my writing, and some people do it through politics, some do it through activism. So my way is to do it through, first you reach a lot of people. You reach them by entertainment. So when you read my books or see a movie based on my books, you get attracted to me. कि भाई कौन है ये, देखें. And then once I've reached those people, then I can talk about change. I can talk about the ideas I have for change. And that's the strategy I am trying to use. And that is why I do what I do. That is why you may find me doing different things. But the aim is to reach maximum Indians first. In fact, this Saturday you will see me in Comedy Nights with Kapil, which is quite different because first time he's called a writer there. But the idea is to reach maximum Indians so they can create change. Now, how do you win in life? There are some winners who do it better than others, and there are some winners who change the game. What does this mean? So imagine sports. Okay. So now in sports, if let's say tennis, and if Nadal has to become number 1 in tennis and Federer is number 1, then the only way Nadal can become number 1 is if he defeats Federer. Right? He plays better tennis than Federer. उससे better खेलेगा तभी वो number 1 बनेगा. Right? But he cannot go to the field and say, आज मैं 4 गुना बड़ा racket, I'm going to get a racket 4 times the size, and I'm going to play like this, and I'm going to defeat you, because I'm changing the game. You cannot do that in tennis. But in life you can do that. In business you can do that. That's the main difference. So when you say change the game, we are talking in context of life, in context of business, in my case in the context of writing. It is about something where the rules can be changed. So even if you are not a genius, you can still win by changing the game. So sometimes changing the game happens by chance. My first book I wrote, I never thought I'm changing the game, but it changed the game. And then it becomes a habit. And today if I consider my own brand or business or entrepreneurship, it is a conscious strategy. I only do things that are game changing. If it doesn't change the game, I don't do it. There are some myths about changing the game. People say, "Arey yaar, this is not for me. We are ordinary people. I'm in the accounts department. How can I change the game? You know, मेरे तो घर पे मेरी बीवी नहीं सुनती. How can I change the game? Right? Steve Jobs can change the game. Bill Gates can change the game. It's a geniuses, but that's not true. Or people say that it can't be learned, or it's retrospectively said. ऐसा people, but the reality is not that. The reality is based on this law that Charles Darwin made several hundred years ago. That it is not the strongest of the species that survives. Not the most intelligent, but the most adaptive. How many companies in this country or in this world even have the most intelligent person as the CEO? सबसे capable आदमी को CEO बनाया गया. होता है कभी ऐसे? बोल दो. अंदर की बात है, निकल आएगी बात. How many countries in the world have the most intelligent person as the top president or prime minister? Not many. Not many organizations. You grow up, you are studying, and then you're doing very hard, and then you reach the senior levels, and then you realize that capability doesn't even matter. You know, politics matters. So that's the first thing I'll tell you about career planning. Learn politics. Seriously. I mean, it's nice to come to IT conference and everything and learn all the new things happening in IT. But if you only keep learning IT and you don't learn politics, I can guarantee you it's going to be a problem. Okay. So please learn politics. Where there are people, there is politics. That is the human race. But this also is very important. What happens is, when we are in school, bete achhe marks lao, you come first, you are the winner. You come first in the race, you are the winner, here is the trophy. But life is not like that. The person who came first in class may not be doing best in life today. Because of this law of Charles Darwin, it is not meant to be in nature that the most intelligent and most strong is going to do the best. It is not supposed to be that way. It is the most adaptive guy. I'll give you another example. Millions of years ago, there were these creatures called dinosaurs. You remember? You weren't there. It's difficult to remember. But there were dinosaurs. You've heard of them, Jurassic Park, everything. So they were very huge, you know. They could climb over trees. They were ruling. But then the earth started melting, the ice, and they couldn't survive. They just all died. They gone extinct, not even one dinosaur left, all gone. There was another creature at that time called the cockroach. Now that cockroach is there even today. You will find them in the poshest colonies of Kolkata. They are staying there. I mean the actual cockroaches, not figuratively the people or They have adapted. They used to stay in the jungle. Now we stay in Alipur. It's okay, no problem. It's okay, fine. Right? They used to eat leaves or something. Now we are eating Kellogg's. It's okay. Same. No, we never give cockroach respect. We don't think there is anything great about him. But they are survivors and they have adapted. So anybody who adapts with time will do well. And those who don't adapt won't do. This adaptation is nothing but change the game. When you say change the game, it's not like we are doing something great. We are just changing with adaptation. So reality is this. The strongest don't survive. Those who adapt do. And changing the game is winning by adaptation. I'm going to give you examples where I have tried to do this. You know, in books, in films, and in writing newspaper columns is where I have tried to change the game to a certain extent in India. It's to varying degrees, but it will give you some idea of the concept at least. So when I first started writing, this was around 2004, nobody wanted to publish my book. The reason was that this was the rules of the Indian publishing industry. That if you're an Indian writer, you should write a very literary novel, which means something that a panel of experts will like, and then you win a prize in the UK, which is the Booker Prize. And if you win a Booker Prize, then your book will get covered in the media, and you know, maybe you will sell some books. 5,000 books at that time was a bestseller. That was the industry norm when I started writing. And these were the rules, and multiple publishers, and my book was about 3 boys in a hostel, and none of it would appeal in the UK. So they didn't even want to touch it, right? So accidentally that book changed the game because it was a story by an Indian for Indians. It was not for UK. Now you don't adapt for the sake of adapting. You adapt because of a stimulus. जिसे पॉलिटिक्स में कहते हैं हवा में कुछ है, एक आंधी है, बदलाव की आंधी है. So there is, what is that badlav, what is that adaptation stimulus? If you catch that, then you can adapt in that direction. So in 2004, there was something very interesting happening in India. More and more people were learning English. more than ever before. Because of cell phones, the Roman script was becoming very popular. These were little changes happening but affecting millions of people. Now these people knew some English, but not such English that they could read a literary novel. They didn't know enough English. These are basic English students who maybe go to a school in a small town, they have English as a second subject, third language, and they will not read a Salman Rushdie or a Vikram Seth, but they know English and there is nothing for them, nothing. But my book was so simply written that they could read it, they could enjoy it, and the story was Indian, so they could relate to it. It was about Indian education system stress. Most students can relate to that. And so my book came out and it sold 13 lakh copies at that time. And that changed the game. That became publishing industry's moment. Oh my God, what happened here, right? And the publishers started saying, if we can get 10% of Chetan's market, it's a better market to chase than trying to do the literary novel and wait for the Booker Prize, then it will come or not come, we don't know. And today if you go to a bookstore, it's full of Indian authors on almost any topic, and almost the entire publishing industry today profitability comes from Indian authors writing from Indian audiences. I have also continued to write. I wrote 5 more novels and even 1 non-fiction, and then from there the books were so big that they could create a movie project. Normally a movie needs, the basic seed is needed in a movie before anybody cuts a check for it, and that seed is either a very big star or a very big producer director. But a story can also do it. That was not common. These are 5 films that I've worked on. Kick was a direct screenplay, but the other 4, Hello, 3 Idiots, Kai Poche and 2 States, are based on my own books. Over 800 crore box office for these 5 films, and some others are under process. Hopefully they'll come in the next few years. And the game now has changed over there. Today in Bollywood also there is a market, there is a IRR, there is a thing for a Chetan Bhagat book that can have so much reach and something like that. This also was possible because of the stimulus that people in India wanted something different in the content. They wanted the stars, but they also said, let me give a good story also, I will value that. The game changing continues even within books. On 5th August, I announced my new book, Half Girlfriend. Luckily, I found a partner who was flush with cash, which is Flipkart. And they said, let's give a big ad in the paper. They gave it for the book, but it was meant for like getting traffic to their site, customer acquisition, etc., etc. This ad is unprecedented for books. This ad is unprecedented for movies also, because movies also advertise in Kolkata Times or Bombay Times or Delhi Times. They don't advertise on the main paper. And that for a book to come like that, it was a game changing thing. All this is fine, but this is all entertainment. I started by telling you my goal was change. My goal is to create change. So ultimately, while all these interesting things were happening, I had to make sure that how do I create that change process now. Now I know I am reaching people. So I moved to writing columns, and at that time the rules were that editorials are very serious and they have a very niche intellectual audience. Actually, maybe in Calcutta they read the editorial pages, but in my Punjabi families, we don't read those pages. In fact, Punjabi families, we use that page as the dining table placemat, because ye koi nahi padega. But I thought this is a waste of space. If you write something that matters to people and you write it in a simple way, it will connect. And so I started writing for Sunday Times, Dainik Bhaskar, and if ABP wants to do it in Bengali, we can talk about it on the side today. So there is no bias there. And it does come in a couple of other regional languages, not in Bengali yet though. And when I did those columns, I started getting invited to horror shows like this. don't show this show to children. It's very scary. And to being on it is even scarier. You can see my expression there. They make you fight. And a lot of people who meet me at airports and they have not known me, they think I'm always arguing. Because they say, आप TV पे इतना लड़ रहे थे. But this guy, this India's top anchor, he will make you fight. He will say, he is saying this about you. If you are silent, that means you are agreeing with him. Otherwise, answer him back right now. Or is it Mr. Bhagat is silent because you have nothing to say? Or can you take him back? And then I take him back, and then it's too late. Then I come across as a fighter cock myself, and that's okay. But it gives you a national visibility. It gives you a national word in the dialogue, despite you not being a politician or activist, and you get to comment on issues and things like that. I also did a show for ABP News. Now I have a ABP, and this was a big show. This was called 7 Racecourse Road, which came earlier this year on Prime Minister candidates. This was a show in Hindi, and I was the anchor of the show. So the script was not mine, which is what I normally do. I was facing the camera, and it was the hardest thing I've done. But this show brought me in touch even with the Panwalas, because they watch the Hindi news channels. I go there and they say, sir, आप आते हो ABP News पे. They have no idea what I do otherwise. I say, आते हो आप कुछ कर रहे होते हो, मुझे पता नहीं क्या कर रहे हो, लेकिन मैंने देखा है. So idea is to just keep expanding reach. And new media came at that time, and I was one of the early guys on it to be on Twitter, which is 3.6 million now, and 6.1 million on Facebook. Mostly youngsters, and youngsters who have liked or followed my page by choice. They are not, I don't have to give them a newspaper and maybe they'll read it. I can reach them from my phone to their phone literally in seconds right now. That is how amazing technology has become today. Many writers are not very fond of Twitter. They're like, what is this tweeting business? We are writers, we write books, our ideas are complex, we can't express it in 140 characters. But to me, you have to adapt. You have to say it in 2 lines or 1 line or whatever Twitter allows. Because Twitter is the new literature, according to me. Where there are youngsters, you want to change them, go to where they are going. So this is a big, powerful tool also available along with all the other things. And of course, talks like this. So this is my organization chart. And this is why you've heard of me much more than any other writer. Because books is just one of the things. There's films and print media and stage and TV. And I have never advertised. Even that ad you saw was given by Flipkart. I have never paid. My marketing budget is 0 and has been 0. It's pure word of mouth brand. And me and my team estimate we reached around 100 million Indians. And we started 10 years ago. And that's a big number to create some influence. That is a big number to create public opinion. And it has had some effect, and it's a big number. But if you look at India, it's 1.2 billion people. So compared to that, there is still a long way to go. Also, by the time I reach 1 million more Indians, 1 more million Indians are born. So that's another challenge which I'm trying to grapple with. Does it all work? That's the important thing in all this. Does it all work? Now for books, you can measure how many copies sold, bestseller list, etc., etc. For films, you can measure hit hai, super hit hai, blockbuster hai, what is the collections. But that is not what I was telling you is the goal. वो सब तो ठीक है. The goal is change. How do you measure there is change because of the work you are doing? Now that's very difficult. There is no absolute metric, but you can have anecdotal evidence to see whether your voice matters where it's supposed to matter or not. So I'll present some anecdotal evidence of that. 1 year ago on Twitter, 1 year ago the government that was there at that time, UPA government, wanted to ban opinion polls. For whatever reason, maybe they didn't like the results, they wanted to ban those polls. So I wrote a tweet, better ban opinion polls, better ban opinions or best ban polls. So I just did it for fun, and the next day this gentleman, who was, he's big man now, and he was the PM candidate at that time, he wrote a blog and he embedded my tweet in that blog. Firstly, I was surprised how a 63-year-old man knows how to embed tweets in blogs. Secondly, the people who are going to control our destiny, the people who control the levers of a country, were listening to me and reacting to me. They were copying, pasting. Below that he writes, friends, in that humor, there is a profound message. So that means the voice had started beginning to matter enough that it couldn't be ignored, or they were listening to it. This is another example of someone called Lord Meghna Desai. You must have heard of him or seen him on TV shows. I don't know him at all, but the Economic Times interviewed him and they asked him what's happening. It was all around the time, a lot of protests were happening and all those things. Students were coming on the streets. So he said, this is the Chetan Bhagat generation which is seeking change. Now I don't know he meant Chetan Bhagat generation as a positive way or negative way, but it associated the generation with my name and added change in that sentence, which tells me that that's a certain perception that something is happening. So the journey is like this so far, and there is more evidence, and many times some columns I get calls from people who say, why you wrote this, why this, that, and that goes on. But all that is my story. I want to come back to you guys because I told you I'm not going to leave here without leaving you with something. The question is, before you even think about all this, goals, change, all this, why do all this? Why challenge yourself? What is all this drama of doing change? What is this drama of trying to influence society? Why not just hang out with Alia Bhatt and make, party? If I do nothing in life also, I'll be okay. Because I'm a house husband, I'm not supposed to do much. And I have these books which earn a royalty and it comes every month. Why not just chill in life? And why challenge? And that's something important to address before you set any goal for yourself in life. Like I told you in the beginning, I meet a lot of people in your age groups, and I broadly find them in 3 different categories. I find them either they are existing, or they are fading, or they are alive. And I'll explain them to you one by one. Existing people are the people who are not happy or sad. These are like people who are reacting to life. They're not unhappy. Bank balance is increasing every year. Maybe the car gets better every 3-4 years. It's like you sometimes stand on an escalator, you're going up, but you're not feeling it. It is that settled mode. You are well settled now. But you're not very happy also. You settle ho gaye. You start explaining the stage of life. This is settled. This is what my parents wanted me to be. But you're not feeling anything. And you say, okay, abhi to, I'm 40 now and I'm 30 something. I don't have the energy anymore. अब तो यंग लोगों का टाइम है, अब तो बच्चों का टाइम है, अब तुम लोग करो, अब हमने तो कर लिया. You're 35-40 है तो हमारा हो गया अभी बस. अब हम घर आएंगे, टाटा स्काई देखेंगे, मरने का इंतजार करेंगे. That is the kind of thing. Now if I tell you that Deepika Padukone was in the next room, all of you will run out. I know मेरी कितनी औकात है. Now where does the energy come from? Where the energy came? Because it's not about energy, it's about motivation. Have you seen the average age of our politicians? 120, 150, more sometimes. But have you seen the passion they have when they attack each other? Have you seen the passion they have when they are in election mode? Does it look like they are settled? They are not settled. Age has nothing to do with it. If you have the right motivation at any age, you can feel different. How many of you here can paint? Let's see. 1, 2, Okay, so out of 500 people, 1%. You know, when I have twin boys, now they are older, but when they were 4 years old, I went to their class. I asked the same question, how many of you can paint? What would have been the answer? Everybody raised their hand. If all of you here were 4 years old, you would have all raised your hand. But now, you don't. That means at some age, there must have been a mental switch that would have said, तेरे को नहीं आता है, तू मत हाथ ऊपर कर, तू रहने दे, तुमसे नहीं होगा. अब I could be telling you to paint the wall. I'm not even telling you to paint, I'm just asking. But nahi. See, when we are born, we don't care. A child doesn't think like that. I'm good, I'm not good. Child is risk taker. Human beings are risk takers. That is what makes us different. You know. But over time, थप्पड़ लग के life में, you know, you keep settling, and बस अपनी जगह बन गई है ना, मत हिलो. And that's what happens to us. Give a child a little balloon, they'll start jumping in joy. But grown-ups, how much hard work it is to make you feel that much excitement now. You know, but we were born with that spark, but that is gone. There's another example. One girl was, 6-year-old girl was drawing something. So somebody came to him and said, "Beta, what are you drawing?" And she's like, "I'm drawing God." And he said, "But nobody knows what God looks like." She said, "They will know in 5 minutes." Because the children take a chance. Children are not afraid to make mistakes unless we slap them at a mistake. Then they will say, "Okay, Arga." But we stop, we are become so risk averse over time that we get into this exist stage. But if you stay in exist stage for very long, then it becomes fading. Then you become unhappy in life. You have niggling discontent. You are like the person who you put them in a lift, they will not press, they don't even want to become better than. And everything is negative for them. And that's a very sad stage. Then you check out and you're like, अभी कुछ मजा ही नहीं आ रहा, ना घर पे मजा आ रहा है, ना काम में मजा आ रहा है, पता नहीं क्या हो गया है, I've become too old, what is the issue? But there is something else going on, and that is that you are in fading mode. Because there are people at any age, all of us have that one uncle or aunt, someone who feel alive, who feel the same spark like children feel. That spark we were all born with, it never goes away for them. And these are people who have ambition, but they have contentment also. It's not they are insecurely ambitious, they are content and ambitious. And these are people who always have excitement, who always want to, they'll climb up stairs and they'll do whatever to come up and rise in life. And it is possible to feel this way at any age. The question is how, right? Because here is my theory on what happens in life. This is a graph of challenge versus excitement in life, okay? Anything you do, first time I wrote my book came out, my God, I was so excited to see it, bestseller list, wow, second time also excited, third, fourth, fifth, sixth book, it's more tension, yaar ab chal jayegi na, you know, but the excitement is obviously not going to be the same as first time. First time you see a movie, first time you see Salman Khan, wow, later on you're like, अरे ये भी इंसान ही है यार, ऐसा क्या है, right? First time you see Katrina Kaif, you're like, wow, that I do wow even now. But that's a different story. Anyway, this is human nature. The first day you got your job, you told all your friends, you called your aunts, you called your mom, dad, everybody, you read the offer letter 10 times, you read all the medical benefits, all the leave benefits, and you top of the world. 5 years later, you're in the same company, people ask, कैसी है नौकरी? अरे वही बकास यार, रोज क्या खास बात, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, फंसे हुए हैं और क्या, काट रहे हैं जिंदगी. Same job that you were excited about is no longer. So why? Because that's human nature. This is why we have made progress also in life, because we don't get satisfied forever. That's how we are. If you take a cow and she goes to a field where there is a lot of grass and sun is there, she will eat the grass, and next morning she'll say, okay, I'll again go there and eat the grass. It's amazing, and she will do that for the rest of her life. Human beings are not like that. First day they will eat the grass, next we'll say, अरे यार एक shed भी बना लेते हैं, you know, चलो अभी इस grass को काट के रखते हैं कहीं पे, हम घर ले जाते हैं. So because we are like that, that is the capability we've been given. So the question is, how do you stay alive? Is it impossible to stay alive? Are you going to keep falling into a rut no matter what? Or can you do something? Well, this is how I do it. I just add challenges. And as I add challenges, I stay in the alive zone. And that is why I am doing books and movies and now change and all these things. I am not doing it. People ask me, are you doing it because you are such a great person, you want to help the country? Of course, I don't mind helping the country, but mostly I am doing it for myself. Mostly I am doing it to challenge myself. And it makes me happy. It makes me excited that there is something. Now, every challenge doesn't have to be career challenge. It can be a fitness challenge. It can be, and in fact that is something I've struggled with sometimes, and sometimes I get into it and get out of it, and it can be that. It can be a relationship challenge. It can be anything. But the point is to keep adding challenges so that you stay in that alive zone. The moment you have no challenge left in life, even though in our Indian culture they say that is the best life, actually that's the worst life. Because in Indian culture they say, like for example, they'll say, अरे क्या बहू को तो कुछ करना ही नहीं पड़ता है, उंगली नहीं उठानी पड़ती है. You know how horrible that life is, जिसमें आपको उंगली भी ना उठानी पड़े. वहां जाके राज करेगी, क्या राज करोगे तुम? और राज करने के लिए भी बहुत मैनेजमेंट करनी पड़ती है. So it is just this is our thinking, but don't let that become your goal of life. The goal of life is to keep challenging a healthy level and then add the next one, and add the next one, and that way you stay happy. Like I said, I am not somebody who's a guru, but people ask me success tips, so I made one slide on what I think has worked. One is you have to lead the industry, I have never, people ask me, what about other writers, what is your competition? I tell them my competition is not other writers. I want people to read more books. It's not like books is so popular. The books we have to encourage. And I want youngsters to read books. So my competition is Candy Crush. My competition is WhatsApp. Because that's where youngsters are busy. Now I have to put them into a book mode. So I have to write something called Half Girlfriend so that they get curious. Arey yaar, kya hai half girl? Dekhe to sahi kya hai. So they will leave their WhatsApp for a few hours. So that's my competition. That's the broad view. You have to keep reinventing yourself. In certain industries, in every industry you need reinvention. But in certain industries, if you don't reinvent, you just die. And two of those industries are entertainment, which I am in, and IT. In both these industries, reinvention is the law. Companies, tech companies that was so hot 10 years ago, people are like, "Arey, this is so backward now." And same for entertainment, you will find actors, filmmakers were so hot 10 years ago, suddenly people are like, "Arey, wo nahi chalta." So we have to keep on reinventing. In entertainment, I have to thrill, excite, surprise. It's the nature, you cannot rest, and that is great because that means there will be new challenges all the time. And that is what I love about these industries, is that there are new challenges, and that is, I've shown you, is the only way to be happy. Passion shows, when you have passion, it shows whether it's a politician or a writer or somebody who works at a corporate. A person who has passion, people can tell. And a person who doesn't have passion, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how, people will tell, and it will affect your performance. And humility. No matter how big you get, your feet are on the ground, you are still a human being, and you still are flawed. And all the success is very nice to aspire to and have, but it's not everything. What matters is your family, your friends, your relationships. That's ultimate. The rest, sab maya hai, it comes, it goes, it's interesting, it's like a game, but it's not something that should make you feel. The moment I always say, arrogance is the speed breaker. You're rising fast in life, the moment arrogance comes, speed breaker, you're down. It's done. So, and I've seen it, it's not just my example, I've seen so many people now in the film industry or whatever, see, they can't handle success. It's very, very, very difficult to handle. This is my final slide, and the motto I try to keep in life. We all like to gossip about people and tell this, isme ye kharab hai, isme ye hai. But we look at ourselves as so many things we have to improve about ourselves. And you have to just make yourself so busy improving yourself that you have no time left to criticize others. And if you just follow this, life will take you in a good place. So thank you so much for listening to me so patiently. Thank you SBI Life for having me. Thank you AVP. I think we may have time for a few questions. Do we have time? We have time for a few questions. So if anybody wants to ask any question about anything, not just what I said, can you give them the mics, please? And if you can introduce yourself, because it's a different crowd and different people from different places. A couple of mics. And can we have some more lights on the audience so I can see them? That those house lights.
Hello. Hi Chetan, I'm Samaresh. My simple question is, if you would not have had a successful working wife, how different would Chetan Bhagat be?
I would be a more assertive husband. Now I'm a more henpecked husband.
But otherwise,
I think it helped a lot because Anusha was working. It helped when I was quitting my job. But I had made an Excel sheet with scenarios.
Okay.
And I had made a scenario. I take nothing from my wife, and how will we live? So it was a lesser lifestyle, but it was a lifestyle, of course, based entirely on my savings. And at that time, I didn't know the books will rise so much. So whatever little came from the books and that. So I had saved enough ki even if Anusha would, because she was in a bank, so you can lose your job there. So there was a scenario where you can put the model to
so
Anusha's earning.
Mitigation plan that.
हाँ वो थोड़ा बनाया था, but more than the wife earning or husband earning or whatever, whenever you are trying something entrepreneurial, it's the attitude of the spouse that is important. It's never the earning actually I've seen. It's money. It's how many people are going to go hungry. You can worst case go to your parents' house, they will give you food now, and दे देंगे अपना ड्राइंग रूम में भी सुला ही लेंगे, ऐसा क्या हो गया? So ऐसा तो अपना इंडिया इतना तो गया गुजरा नहीं है. The social security is in our culture only. So but the attitude of the spouse and your attitude. We had to basically have a discussion ki tomorrow, because we were all IM, both of husband. So we are in that IM circle. So when we go to a party, somebody will say, okay, we bought a 4-bedroom house, and okay, I bought a Mercedes, and I bought this and that, and maybe when I leave this, वो नहीं आएगा. We'll be in a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom, I don't know, and are we okay with that discussion? Because वो एक hypothetical fear of parties होता है. पार्टी में क्या इतनी पार्टियां, फिर हमने कैलकुलेट किया कि कितनी पार्टियां होती है साल में, एंड कितनी ऐसी कन्वर्सेशंस होती हैं, versus you are doing what you love doing, and
so
what
your
is
approach would
so
have
we
remained the same.
So I think that is what is more important. It took 2 years for me to get my wife on that same attitude, irrespective of the money. And once that attitude, because you can always feel कि लेकिन अगर आप नहीं छोड़ोगे तो और कमा सकते हैं. So that I think is very important. If you have a supportive spouse, you're very lucky, because that's what matters. See, रहते तो हम कॉलेज में भी खुशी थे ना. If you think about it, I know somebody who was doing this and he had such a supportive spouse कि he was trying his business, it was not working, and he said यार अब अगले महीने का बिल कैसे देंगे पता नहीं. So his wife said, it reminds me of college. वहाँ भी हॉस्टल में हमारे पास पैसे नहीं होते थे कि अगले महीने का कौन कैसे खर्चा देगा. I mean, that's amazing. If you can have a spouse like that, at least you are not thinking half the time कि अरे यार अभी क्या होगा, the pressure at home. But yeah, these are very tough and important decisions if you're trying this. Sorry. Yeah.
Hello. Good evening, sir. My name is Pradipta Maulik. My question is, there is a woman in behind of every successful man. What about yourself?
बता ही दिया है. I mean, there is a wife and there is a mother, and there are my editors and my PR team. Actually, in my industry, there are so many women. If you look at the events people, in this entertainment industry, everything is women. All my editors are women. All the PR people are women. A lot of my readers are women. So there's more than one actually in my case.
Hi Chetan, my name is Devi Das. I'm from SBI Life. You are a successful, I'm sure, investment banker. Then all of a sudden you decided to listen to your passion. So it's sometimes very difficult. In fact, I'm also going through such kind of thing where I have some passion. I want to do it, but most of the time when people ask me, then I say that, yeah, very difficult to get the time out of my profession. The kind of pressure, the job I have is difficult. So how to manage and balance in these two between?
It comes down to, it really, there is no one answer, and it comes down to your personality. I always say, if you're on your deathbed, and I'll give you two horrible alternatives. So both are bad alternatives. Huh? So one is, you are saying, "Arey yaar, I didn't even try," and the other is, "Yaar, I tried and I failed." Which is less worse for you? You know, for me, I didn't even try is horrible. I tried and it didn't work. Okay, ठीक है, life तो वैसे ही खत्म होनी थी, चलो try तो किया. So for me, that inner voice became very strong, and the outer voices which tell you नहीं, settled रहना है, अच्छी job लगी हुई है, क्यों पंगे ले रहे हो, क्यों मस्ती, अभी और करो. So that उसका volume कम हो गया और अंदर की आवाज का volume बढ़ गया, and it came to a point where only what I thought mattered, and you know it's okay, कुछ ना कुछ हो जाता है, ऐसा कोई नहीं है. We're not duffers कि गलती से एक नौकरी लग गई या पकड़ के बैठे रहो. What happens is when you leave, you find a whole circle of people who have left, which you don't know now. When you leave, you find opportunities which are not there for working people because you are not free, right? So this speaking stuff, for example, came after I left because today is a working day. If I was working in a bank and writing on the weekend, how could I have done this? For example, For example, writing columns came after I left. For example, doing some of the TV show. So it comes after. Sometimes and now sometimes people say, I'll take a leave, I'll take a sabbatical. But you know, जब तक rocket के पीछे आग नहीं लगती ना, वो उड़ता नहीं है. I've seen this in life.
But again, the thing is, you had a supportive wife, isn't it? So when you took the decision of leaving your job and then get into the passion, so it's also very important that you should have people around you.
Supporting wife हो या एक supporting bank हो जिसमें आपने पैसे बचा लिए हो, एक ही बात है. आपका तो क्या? I mean, it's okay. And a fixed deposit is also like a supporting wife, no? In fact, she will give you interest regularly. The FD wife may not give. वाइफ के पाँव भी दबाने पड़ते हैं, एफडी के पाँव नहीं दबाने पड़ते. एफडी की मदर इन लॉ नहीं होती ना.
Chetan, the DD podcaster, Chairman INFOCOM. My question is to be alive in your parlance. Is a person born to be alive? Is it in DNA, or somebody can acquire from this third stage?
My read is everybody is born with a spark. All human beings are playful, full of creativity, full of ideas, and our education system is designed to hammer that out. It is designed for that, right? So, we just want ultimate is what science, an engineer and doctor and PhD is the most ultimate. We just want everybody to be a professor. Basically, that is reward. That is the academia is geared to fit you in, because the course is this. You will be tested on this. We have fewer seats, so those who do well in this course are the good people. The rest are not good people. So it is a filtering mechanism. It is not a skill creation. It's not a adding value mechanism so much. So because of that, we learn to change. We learn to adapt. We learn to become quiet, and we learn to kill our dreams. And it has a toll. And over time, you do that long enough, your personality changes. And I can say this from numerous people. It could have happened to me. It's just lucky. I could come out of it and later look back and thought, why was I so underconfident? Why was I? So I think all of us have the feeling of being alive. It's just that we sometimes are trapped into something, and then of course you don't feel alive. If you trap somebody in a box, they will not feel alive. But if you open the box and you realize, you know what? See, you are 40 years old, average median age in this room is 40, or at least I am 40 now. So, if I am very lucky, how much I will live? 30, 40 years, if I am lucky, right? So that's 1500 weekends or 2000 weekends. बस उतना बाकी है, खत्म ही है उसके बाद. तो इतना डर के क्यों जीना है, you know? And I'm addressing this audience with this. When I go to students, I don't say this because they have to make a career. They have to make. But all of you, nobody is going to go hungry. Nobody will be in a situation, अरे यार आज तो रोटी लेने के पैसे नहीं है, अगर हो तो मुझे फोन कर देना. But main thing is ego. Ego. What will I tell my friends? I tried and I failed. और वो तो ये promote हो गया, वो तो वो promote हो गया. This trap is very bad. I always say in Bombay, the whole life, your life's effort is to get the extra 1,000 square feet in South Mumbai, because that's what the present value of earnings is. So you have to decide क्या करना है life में, you know. So, and I think you need, for that you need to sit down with your spouse and say कि हम where are we going, क्या करना चाह रहे हैं. If you get that voice inside, if you're fine, then doesn't mean अब सब कुछ ठीक चल रहा है तो चल रहा है. But if you are feeling it more than once a week, 3 times a week, then you need to sit with your spouse and say, you know, कुछ बदलते हैं यार, ये नहीं ठीक अभी. You know, it's a mix of spirituality, it's a mix of everything, it's a mix of listening to yourself.
Hi Chetan, this is Avijit from here, and good to see you here and hear your voice. The time I reached Sharjah Book Fair, I missed your session. So this time I promise that I'm not going to miss you. I was here 1 hour before you start. Now, I really liked each point you mentioned. You said at every point you have to learn how to take a challenge. Now, my genuine question is, if someone doesn't know how to take a challenge, it's his problem, right? Now, you are brilliant. We know that Sachin Tendulkar had a passion. 24 years he showed the passion and became very successful. Now, not having an IIT, IIM degree, so it is important to be a creative, to be innovative, and it has to come from the within. To take your point that you have to learn how to take a challenge each moment. So what's the chemistry or what's the answer? What does someone has to do to create innovative parts to move on?
Okay. Well, see, Sachin or a writer who's been successful is a different from a normal, because I'm not only talking of talent here. Challenges can come from different ways. In fact, I remember I was at a talk for students and one girl, little girl stood up and said, "Sir, you're very good at writing. It comes easily to you. So you are very motivated and you keep doing this. But how do I motivate myself to do something I'm not good at? How do I, because you have been rewarded so well in writing, you are getting automatic motivation. What about something?" So I really thought about it and I thought, let me test it out. So I thought I'll do something which is I'm not good at, something which is very, very difficult for me. I don't know whether it's because I'm Punjabi or maybe just the way I am, but we love food. It's very hard for me to limit food and get into a fitness routine. It just sounds, for some people it's simple, but it's very difficult for me. Let me answer your question, okay? And I went to a brand, I went to a sports brand, and you'll hear about it next month. And they are going to put me, in fact it's already started, so I'm actually very hungry right now. But for 100 days, they will monitor exactly everything I eat and they will send a trainer every day for me. Every 10 days on social media, I have to put my weight, fat content, measurements, everything. It's the scariest thing I've ever done. It's got nothing to do with writing. But it's a challenge which is so scary and it is so out of my comfort zone that it's keeping me very excited also. So I'm saying it's not always, and it's not like I have any special talent in it, but I'm going to put myself out there. I may fail, I may not succeed, and it scares me. But I'm saying I've taken it up because I know that I needed to do this. I needed to do this to feel alive. Otherwise, it's just going to. So find something. It doesn't have to be one great thing. It's not like only Sachin can have challenges or Chetan can have challenges. Everybody has challenges. We'll do one last question.
Yeah,
Yes.
hi. My name is Bonnie Mukherjee. I'm with the ABP group. Now, I'm going to push you back a bit, right? One of the problems with all motivational speakers is it always comes from a winner's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Rarely do you call a loser to give somebody a motivational speech, right? If I were to look at your background, you went to IIT and IIM, right? That's a golden combination. You wrote a book. Your first book was a success. Now, this is a little hypothetical, but let's assume that you weren't an IIT IIM graduate, right? And your first book wasn't a success. Would your view towards life have been the same?
I don't know, I've had a very rough life. If you ask me honestly, there has been, what you see on the PowerPoints are the highlights. And I know that it only achievements are described. But the one thing people say, and that is the only thing a motivational speaker hopes to instill, is that positive attitude. I've had one of the roughest childhoods I could have had, whether it's my parents' relationship, whether it's the poverty that I faced and everything. But my friends even today tell me that you always find something positive in whatever situation. Whether it's the critics criticizing me in literary circles, whether it was the Three Idiots controversy that happened at that time, which almost could have wiped out my film career right there because I had taken on some very powerful people at that time, or whether the way I was growing up, it was impossible for me to study for IIT and the kind of, so I think I have also lost, but because there are some achievements, I've become known and I've come here, but that doesn't mean I don't get a share of failures. So, but I think it's chicken and egg. If I didn't have that positive attitude, these successes wouldn't have come. But doesn't mean that, only successful people, you need that positive attitude anyway. So if people are throwing bricks at you, you have to make it into a house. You have to try. If I didn't get into IIT, at that time I didn't even have a dream to get into IIT. I got 76% in my class 10. And I remember at that time STD booths had come up. And for me, my dream was to have my STD booth. And that was my dream. And it was like, I will have my own business and I will have 5 and I'll have 10 and whatever it was. So maybe my worldview would have been smaller. And I would have not compared with this Chetan Bhagat because there would be no this Chetan Bhagat in me. But within my circle, I would have tried to do the best, I think. And that's all you want to do. I think that's all. We all have tendency to go negative. That's human nature. One traffic jam and you'll view the world negatively. Motivation allows you to that. One last thing about motivation. Today you feel good. I've spoken to you. You feel inspired. You're thinking about things. 2-3 days later you may forget. Because motivation needs regular updates. Like an app needs regular updates. Like you take a bath every day. You feel very fresh. But you need another one next day. No? So motivation, you read something which is motivating. You read an inspiring story. Watch a video. Do something. Motivation is something you have to work on a daily basis. If nothing else, Google motivating quotes on your phone and check them whenever you're feeling low or something. Because it's more important than intelligence. A person who's motivated, a person who's positive will achieve more than an intelligent but negative attitude person. So that's all I can say.
Chetan.
Mr. Bhagat. Bhagat, can I have the last question, please?
Okay. Okay, if we have the time. Yeah.
Mr.
Sorry, Mike.
Bhagat, this is Pritham. I have a very small question. I have seen Delhi, Bombay, Chennai in your books, in Bihar, New York, Australia. Do you have any plan, Calcutta investment
Of course,
future
I
book? Can you
Calcutta
see?
ki to story I.
Thank you, sir.
Do you believe in RTI?
I believe in RTI. Yeah, I do.
You share all informations about your Facebook, about your Twitters and booksellers. How much you're earning at the end of the day?
How much I am?
Yeah,
RTI is for government entities, not for private entities.
as you wish.
Mr. Bhagat,
As you
The
wish.
day I am spending your taxpayer money, I will tell you how much I am earning and spending. But I am not taking your money. So, not that much also. Yes.
Excuse me. Oh. Mr. Bhagat, this is Shayantan from Candid Communication. I run a PR company here. The controversies which have been floating around you, and I have seen the way you have managed the press and the publicity. So I would like to know that, whenever the recent controversy which we have been, reading through. So how do you manage this? I mean, what are the...
It's difficult to, I have never manufactured one because I never have needed to. My popularity has come from various other places, so I never have needed a controversy to be popular. But a writer, I think it's impossible for a writer who, especially who gives political opinions, who talks about things in society, there will be controversy, right? Nothing, I just try to do the best I can to not do personal attacks and something like that. But if someone, like for example, there was a recent one about Dumrao in Bihar, so Half Girlfriend is a fictional story. And just is that the boy is from a royal family. Now it's a made up story, there is no Madhav Jha, there is nothing, right? But apparently there were some old kings of Dumrao. Now they are upset. You have insulted the kingdom of Dumrao. There is no kingdom of Dumrao anymore. It is India, republic, democracy, but they are feeling very royal. Now they say, "Aapne kaise likh diya?" I have not written about them. I have written about a fictional character. The moment the book says fiction, so they send me a letter saying, "What have you done?" So I send them a very polite letter, "Sir, आपको किसी ने, आपकी गलती नहीं है, आपको किसी ने बहकाया है, क्योंकि आप तो राजा हो, राजा को कभी ऐसी बात नहीं करनी चाहिए. आप you want Dumrao to be famous. I have made Dumrao famous. Your town in Bihar is now famous, and I have said it's a fictional story. But you can't help it, now it's so easy. The media needs information every day, 24 hours, so it's very easy to create. Okay, really last one.
Yeah, Chetan, I am Riju. I'm Riju from TCS, typical IT person, leading an exist life, trying to be alive. Just one question. Which particular book to movie adaptation gave you the most satisfaction, saying that they got it absolutely right?
I think Kaipoche. I really liked. A brilliant film. That sir wanted to ask. Hanji sir.
I am from the young university. This is the Azamas University, is in Calcutta, Barasat. As a young university, let me to suggest how to motivate the students and their enjoyment.
आप बुलाओ ना मुझे, फिर हम आते हैं.
आप बताइए ना.
You tell. I mean, एक line में कैसे कहें? But I think just give them something which helps them get ahead. A university should give students what they need to get ahead in life. They will automatically get motivated. If we give them something which is outdated, if we give them, even today, our course curriculum, somebody is setting na NCRT, college curriculum. How many industry people are sitting in that when the course is being set? Nobody is sitting. But they are academicians setting the curriculum. When you talk to the industry, they say, we don't get talent, what are these students? They can't give an interview, they can't make a presentation. And when we go to the colleges, they say, we can't get jobs. So, why? Because of this. So, work on that. Every course setting should have students, professors, industry, all together.
But we have already developed the course curriculum linkage with the industry.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I think maybe I'll come someday and then we'll do it. Thank you so much. I've really overshot my time. But see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chetan Bhagat, for such a passionate talk. And we would like to thank you. May I request Mr. Didi Prakash, the Managing Director and CEO, ABP Private Limited, and Chairman of INFOCOM, to kindly come forward and present a memento to Mr. Chetan Bhagat. Thank you very, very much for such a passionate and inspirational talk. Changing the world by changing the game. Thank you very much, Mr. Chetan Bhagat.